Hey, listeners, one of the best parts about conferences like HIMSS is the opportunity to sit down with friends and legends in the space. Ed Marx happens to be both, and in this bonus episode, he was kind enough to share what he's paying attention to and why he thinks addressing relationships between vendors and buyers can spark future waves of innovation. Let's get to it.
We've got a book signing literally like right after this.
Yes.
Like just tell people about the book one more time.
Yeah, there's several books I'm signing. So the one that I think is official here, ready to go, is called Voices of Innovation Payer Edition. So we've done several in the series of Voices of Innovation, and these are those collaborative books. So I was asked one time by him, would you write a book on innovation? Because, I was associated with innovation. But what they didn't know is it wasn't me. It was my team. And my team is a great team, but even we were limited in the type of innovation. So I told them, I said, if I write a book, my team writes a book on innovation, it'll be 30 pages. But if we open it up to the world, it'll be 300 pages. And that's what we did. So that's how these books started, Voices of Innovation. So they're usually like 35 to 40 contributors from around the world that are doing cool stuff. So each essay is like maybe 3 to 5 pages in a format that you can emulate, you can copy. So it's not like, well, that was Mayo or that was Cleveland. Of course they could do it. We can't do it because we're a small critical access care hospital. No, there's critical access care hospitals that have written these books. So anyone can benefit from the book, whether they're a small hospital, a physician office, whatever. So the success of that, they wanted to write more books in this series. And so the one being celebrated today with the book signing is the Payer Edition. Now that was a really interesting experience. So I'll tell you a little bit about that, because whenever I worked on these innovation books with the provider side and put out a call for who wants to be part of this, I'll get over 100 submissions, and we take about 30 to 40. With the payers, I couldn't even get 30. And as I pulled back the onion and I talked to my forward author, Sachin Jain, Dr. Sachin Jain, a very famous person, payers aren't as willing to share information as people like you and I are on the provider side. So the culture is much different. So we ended up getting enough quality submissions to still put together a book, but it was a little different experience doing it. So that's one of the books. The other books that we're signing is one people are already familiar with, which is Diagnosed, that was written with Mayo Clinic Press. And that is really chronicling, we use the journey of Chris Ross, at the time CIO of Mayo Clinic, myself, CIO of Cleveland Clinic. We had these terrible things happen to us that happen to everyday people. And we went through this experience and we were like, we need to help people outside of healthcare. Because if it's tough for those of us inside of healthcare to navigate healthcare, imagine what it's like for people outside. So the book is written for people outside of healthcare, how to navigate their patient journey. So those are some of the books. And then one last one, sorry. The last book that's not going to be signed, but sort of going to be signed, is Voices of Innovation AI Edition. So there were some production hiccups at the last minute, and the books are not here. So we're going to sort of feign writing the book. We have a paper edition, facsimile of the book, and we'll be signing that here today as well. And again, it was written by 35 to 40 contributors from around the world, big hospitals, small hospitals. It's going to be great to propel AI. AI changes rapidly, so it's not a book though that's going to go out of style, because again, all the Voice of Innovation books are written with how to reproduce innovation, and so it's almost like a menu you could follow along. And of course, your AI is going to be different than everyone else's, but at least they're structured how you do it. And so that's the answer to the question.
It's amazing. There's a reason why you keep getting asked to do these.
Again, it's a testament to other people though who helped write it, and I've had great publishers, so that's really the magic sauce.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, it leads to so many other conversations. It leads to so many other. I love that. Okay, I'll go off of the AI piece for a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Anything that stands out that you recall during the process of the book, or any of the pieces, like any the thoughts that could be helpful to people that you hope people get out of reading that one?
Well, my biggest hope is that the empathy part of it all, that we don't lose sight of that. It's still the human experience. And I think a lot of the articles, the essays, we'll call them contributions, really bring that out. So I'm really happy about that. It's not like anyone went off the deep end just on the tech side, but there's always the human element. So I like that. And then again, the other thing that's really important to me is that someone could read it and relate to something in the book. So again, because there's so many different points of view and so many types of individuals and leaders that wrote in it, from nurses to physicians to tech people, you know. The thing that I found most hope in, Jared, are the essays where they were using AI to save people's lives. So this would be learning, you know, from early warning type triggers, but learning from them. The system would learn automatically from them and then set off alerts and things like that would ultimately help with earlier intervention and keep something from happening and saving lives. So there's a couple stories in there like that.
I hope we hear more about that just in general, like as the reason to pursue any technology, let alone, you know, this entire umbrella of you know, where things are headed. It's amazing. You have such a way of being able to center, you know, a conversation on the things that really do matter. It is easy in healthcare. It's easy in digital health to kind of lose sight of that sometimes because there's so much to talk about, I guess. Well, just in general, like what are some other trends or things that you're thinking about or wanting to try to learn more about yourself?
Yeah, well, I love the whole ambient. You know, it's been around a while now, but you're seeing a lot more uptake in it and a lot more accuracy. And I particularly like it because my wife herself is a clinician, and I've seen firsthand now all the things that I was helping other physicians with in the past. And she comes home and she does a lot of pajama time. You know, she's always upstairs working on charts. And it is a little frustrating from a family perspective. So she has the ambient AI capability now. So a lot of her charting is done real time, and it's taking a lot less time when she comes home. So that speaks to clinician experience, but also impacts family and all those sorts of things. So I like that. What I hear a lot of, you know, because I'm fortunate to be on the board of a couple of health systems, and one thing that seems pervasive is the need to continuously, we've had this conversation forever, and it'll be forever, and that's how do you take out costs? And I think AI can play a role in that, but there's other different ways of taking out costs while maybe even improving quality, maybe improving customer satisfaction. So I'm hearing a lot about that, and that always piques my interest because what I always was an advocate for, and I did this myself as a CIO, and I encourage other leaders to do the same, is I would always look for opportunities to take costs out. And the bargain I would make in doing this is to get half of it back as an investment in, you can call it whatever, digital transformation or innovation. It wasn't always successful. You know, a lot of times the CFO just wanted to take all the money, you know, and just let you suffer. But a few times, you know, more than half the times, I would get half the money back to reinvest. And I like that. And then when you have that great relationship, trusted relationship with like your CFO, then you can do that every year. Like come up with new ideas, work with your vendor partners, you know, and figure out ways to take out costs and then find out, hey, let's reinvest this. So those are some of the trends.
And here at HIMSS, so you were anything from day one of on the executive summit side of things that were just interesting or unexpected, maybe?
Well, so I did participate pretty heavily already. And one thing I was hearing ROI, going back to what I just shared, and really nailing it. Again, what's a little bit frustrating, Jared, is, and you have the same experience because you've been around a while, it's the same topics all the time. It's like, haven't we figured it out or gotten better? I think we're all so busy, we just surviving. And so very few people are able to like take the time and effort that it takes to set something up to really work, like a really valid ROI, or governance is another one. Everyone's always talking about IT governance. I remember when I was a young kid here at HIMSS, I taught a half-day seminar on governance. People paid to go, and we had it pretty well figured out, thanks to my team, on how to set it up and do it. And basically you could copy everything. We had all policies and everything. And it's like, then it was made available for free. Anyone could take advantage of it. So how come people haven't adopted that, or someone else's that works, and made governance a thing of the past to have to deal with? But it's not. It's still something people deal with. And so it's the same with, the ROI thing. So going back to your question, so I heard some stuff about ROI, which I'm glad, there's more science and rigor around it, but now people need to like execute on it. The other thing is this always a perennial focus, and there should be, on leadership. So I heard a talk yesterday on leadership, and I love, as you know, that topic. So I think that's pretty good. In patient experience, I'd be curious on your perspective, since you're pretty much a guru in this area. Have we reached a plateau? Have people paying less attention to it now than they did in the past, or is it still something important? So I'm sort of looking for that in the next couple of days. Like, what are the signs? It's kind of like virtual care. I'm afraid that we had this buildup for virtual care and patient experience. Pandemic came, accelerated both, really. And then now, post-pandemic, have we gotten lazy? We know the numbers, at least from the virtual care side, have really dramatically dropped down. And I think they've flattened out. But on the positive side, where they flattened out is much higher than where they were pre-pandemic.
Exactly.
So maybe now, out of that base, we can get to next level. But I hope we don't stay there. It's the same with patient experience. Like, we had all this, a lot of people talking about it. It was very, like, the main theme of HIMSS at some point. And now, where does it fit in all the other things going on? So I'm watching out for that.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I am asking that same question of whether we have reached that plateau, at least on the patient experience side.
Yeah.
And whether it's just because it's not in front of us and we don't feel this compelling event or this pressure from non-traditional players in the space, this existential threat. I don't know if it's just that reduced crisis threat level that has kind of let us say,
Right.
okay,
right.
We don't have to figure it out again.
Right.
We're tired of figuring out existential problems after COVID. So it may be some combination of that. And if that translates to less urgency, then we need to find ways to reframe different parts of the conversation. But I'm definitely feeling that overall. So, Okay, and what's your favorite thing about the work you're doing now? Just what you said of Marx advisory, just what's your favorite part?
I love connecting people in order to sort of accelerate relationship building and accelerating tools to the marketplace, accelerating solutions to the marketplace that are really going to impact patient experience, clinician experience. Because the cycle is so long, as we all know. And if there's something I can do because of my relationships, and I have a lot of experience on the CIO side, a lot of experience now on the vendor side, board perspective, all that kind of thing. And so I just love bringing people together. So I've been working on some really creative things that bring everyone together and just sort of cut that whole cycle time. Everyone's well-intentioned, and there's been this distrust between vendors and buyers. And so I think some of this relationship building is helping to rebuild that trust so people see each other as legit partners and making solutions happen in the marketplace.
Love it. We appreciate the time, Ed. Thanks so much.
Oh, it's always great to be with you. Thank you.
And remind people of Digital Voices. They can find it everywhere still.
Yes, the podcast. Yeah. Check out Digital Voices. Only second to Healthcare Wrap.
Appreciate that, Ed. Thanks so much.
Thank you.